Greetings to you all and welcome to our panel discussion. Today we'll be having an interesting conversation with our panelists here based on grammar teaching with the three main aspects which are form, balance and meaning. Each of our panelists here will represent one of the camps here. And to start with, we're going to start with Mr. Kamukhelo Senior. Now, can you tell me, critics argue that focusing only on meaning risks fossilizing errors, and what's your response on this opinion or criticism?
Thank you, moderator. I represent the focus on meaning approach, which emphasizes that the primary goal of learning language is communication. Now, remember, learners acquire grammar and vocabulary most effectively when they are engaged in real-life, meaningful interaction. Research from Krashen's input hypothesis supports this view. Comprehensible input in authentic context is what drives acquisition. In practice, this means creating tasks where learners negotiate meaning, share personal experiences, or solve problems together. Another thing, grammar is not ignored. Krashen's hypothesis input also supports this view. Another thing, authenticity in context is what drives acquisition in grammar. In practice, this means creating tasks where learners negotiate meaning, share personal experiences, or solve problems together. Grammar is not ignored, but it is acquired naturally as children learn their first language. For example, in storytelling or role-play activity, learners are more concerned with getting their messages across than with consciously applying grammatical rules. The strength of this approach is fluency and motivation. Learners are not burdened by constant correction, but are encouraged to speak, experiment, and develop confidence. Critics argue that accuracy may lag, but I believe that fluency lays the foundation once learners are comfortable communicating. Once learners are comfortable with communicating, accuracy will flow.
Very insightful, Mr. Kamukhelo. Now, we'll move to Mr. Shwabadeka. Critics like Elif argue that the communicative approach produces learners who are fluent in speech but are weak in writing. What's your view regarding that?
Thank you, moderator. I heard you very well. But before I attempt to answer your question, I would like to make it clear that I also advocate for focus on meaning approach based on various reasons. One of them is based on my personal testament as an English educator. During my teaching practicals, I witnessed that learners learn more through the focus on meaning approach with regards to grammar. You should see it improves their grammar. There was this, for instance, there was this other day that I gave the learners a group activity where they were supposed to generate ideas and rehearse them based on the theme that says teenage challenges within South Africa. One group initially said many learners does not have support at home, which was corrected through the group and peer discussions to many learners do not have support at home. This showed me and proved to me that learners are more motivated to pay attention to grammatical accuracy because it serves their communication goals, not because it is enforced or taught upon them. So this information is supported by Himes and Halliday. Del Himes supports the idea, or argues that language is learned deeply through social and cultural aspects, while Michael Halliday emphasizes the idea that grammar is only one part of a language. One must focus strictly on communication in order to acquire that language. One can also argue, using my personal experience, that my experience as a whole supports Krashen's input hypothesis, which argues that language acquisition can proceed effectively when one is exposed to comprehensive input. But to go back to your question, moderator, A-Leaf's argument that the communicative approach produces learners who are fluent in speech but lack in writing aspect, overlooks the growing body of evidence that says communicative instruction can support the learner's development of writing when it is implemented effectively. And also the communicative learning teaching CLT also supports this statement by means of saying that authentic tasks such as debate and role plays provide a meaningful context whereby writing can develop. So yeah, I think I've provided you with a lot of information.
Very insightful and mouthful. I like that you touched on your personal experiences as well. Now, we're going to move on to Mr. Itumeleng Dipiri. What evidence or research supports the idea that learners acquire grammar naturally without explicit instruction, according to you, sir? Can you please touch on that?
Research shows it works according to Norris and Ortega. Meta's analysis found that explicit instruction consistently leads to durable gains. Also demonstrated that through skill acquisition theory, that learners can proceduralize grammatical knowledge through practice until it becomes automatic. I think I covered your question, moderator.
Very much insightful. Very insightful, Mr. Dipiri said. Now, research shows that explicit grammar teaching improves accuracy, but learners are hesitant to speak. How do you defend form-focused instruction against this criticism? What's your stance?
I would like to take the opposite stance and argue that grammar instruction focusing explicitly on form is essential. In fact, the South African context shows us why researchers such as ENGV highlight that while many learners are fluent speakers in English, their writing is riddled with grammatical errors, incorrect tenses, poor sentence structures, and weak decisions or cohesion. This undermines their ability to succeed at university and in professional settings. Another researcher such as Rod Ellis defends form-focused instruction as any planned or incidental activity and draws learners' attention to linguistic form.
Very insightful. Thank you very much, Mr. Dipiri. I would like now to move on to Masirame. Now, how do you ensure that learners develop accuracy if grammar is not directly taught? What can you say about that? What's your stance on that?
Thank you, moderator. I believe that the most effective approach is balanced approach between meaning and form, right? Neither extreme is sufficient on its own, meaning that meaning on its own is not enough for learners. Even form on its own is not enough for learners. As Branford has argued that accuracy and fluency must develop side by side, though balance may shift when learners progress, right? So Rod Ellis proposed a modular curriculum that starts with a task-based, meaning-focused work that builds on learners' fluency and later supplement to explicit structured-based modules that address persistent grammatical challenges that learners face, right? And then many researchers have supported this integrated view. For example, let's take Norris and Ortega. They show that explicit grammar teaching is effective but it works best, or it is most powerful when embedded with communicative context. And then Ellis did what? Ellis also explains that focus form works best when it arises out of meaning focus activities. It is what Longmaker calls focus on form, right? In practice, what learners can do is do a task. That task will be based on planning a community event. The teacher will do what? The teacher will draw their attention to the areas in the past tense and article use, right? So, in other words, the balanced approach is and reflects the real life experience of learners. We use language to communicate meaning, but also remember, we use it to refine through what? Through feedback and analysis. So in South Africa, we have learners who need both fluency and accuracy. They need fluency for social mobility and accuracy for academic writing. So balanced approach, it can bridge a gap between the confidence of speaking and precision of writing. Summarizing everything, learners, for example, we are university, right? So we use what? We are doing a panel discussion right now. So learners will need the fluency for that, right? And then we have assignments that we have to submit that are written. So we need both so that we can be able to go to higher educations, you see. That's my take. Thank you.
Very insightful and very interesting, Medireko. Now, we've heard it from our panel, and I think all of you here have given us an insight on how exactly grammar can be taught. Thank you so much for coming, and may we give ourselves a round of applause.